I have started the recording, so people who missed today's class can rewatch it. So today, first of all, assalamu alaikum, and this is the lesson number 2. We had lesson number 1 yesterday, where we discussed a few concepts, and lesson 1 yesterday we discussed 4 letters: the noon and the ba and the dal and the waw. We learned what vowels or how vowels are in Arabic, and we knew that, or we learned that there are 2 qualities or lengths of vowels in Arabic, the short and the long, and we learned how to recognize them. So far we've taken just 1 pair of vowels, which is the alif. 1 second, I just need to, okay. And then we learned something about the stress and how we stress certain vowel sounds. And then we discussed what sukun means, and we learned that it's basically a small circle on top of a consonant. Sometimes, if you open the Quran, you might actually see it as a little ha or a little ha, like this shape. It also nouns sukun. And we learned an interesting concept in phonology or the sound or phonetics is which is called voicing. Voicing is basically the vibrations produced by your voice box when pronouncing certain letters. One of them being we learned that the sound S in English is unvoiced, in contrast to the sound Z, which is voiced, as in you can feel the vibration in your voice box, in your larynx. When you put your finger on your larynx, you can feel that vibration. And then we learned how punctuation marks are usually reversed in direction. As in English, the question mark would be like this, but in Arabic it would be the vice versa. Same thing with the comma. The English comma is like this. The Arabic comma is basically just upside down. And today we're going to look at 5 more consonant letters. As we see here, lesson 2, we're going to look at 5 more consonants and a new pair of vowels and a phenomenon called shadda in Arabic utterance or Arabic speaking or in Arabic phonetics. Um, Shadda basically is the doubling of consonants. Basically, a consonant of the same consonant is doubled in pronunciation. It's more stressed. Basically, shadda is what stress is to vowels, but shadda is the stress of consonants. So, overview on the consonants, we're going to learn the letter dhal, which is the th in this, the letter ta as in take, the letter fa as in fat, and the letter ya as in yell or yell like yell, and the letter meme as in make. Now, we have to stop here and remind that the letter ya also shares one feature, that it can be a consonant and it can mark a long vowel. And we're gonna just jump ahead and we say this long vowel is called E. And today's pair vowel is basically the U sound, which we call in Arabic dhamma. And it's written like this. Dhamma. Dhamma, the verb dhamma in Arabic means to bring together or bundle together. And it makes sense, honestly. Remember when we said fatha means to open, and you kind of have to open your mouth to say it? It's like ah. You have to open your mouth. That's why we call it fatha. But in dhamma, it means to bundle or to bring together, to make it round. And that also applies when you say the sound. When you say oo, you notice that your lips are bundled together. They form some sort of a round shape, oo. And that's why actually the phonetic term is rounded. You say like this vowel is rounded. It means that you make an oo, or like a circle shape with your lips. Of course, the short variety or the short vowel is called dhamma, and the long vowel is denoted by the letter waw. That makes it longer. The short vowel is basically the oo sound in put, and the oo sound as in boon, boon. The shadda we'll get to in detail when we reach that part, but let's start with the first consonant, dhal. Dhal, for the astute among you, would remember that, or would see that it looks very strikingly similar to the letter we learned yesterday, which is dal. And dal is basically just an acute angle, but without a dot. This one has a dot. And this dot changes the pronunciation from the to the. If we look at English, we'd see that the consonant cluster of T and H together would produce the sound the, and would also produce the sound th, as in ether or tooth. But in English also it can sound like this, either, and soothe. Now, let's talk about the quality of the sound. The sound we say, it's a voiced sound. So if you do this experiment, and put your finger on your voice box and try to pronounce the sound the, you would notice that your voice box vibrates. Your vocal cords are vibrating when you're producing this sound, which is important in differentiating from the voiceless counterpart, or the voiceless opposite of it, which is the letter th. Th. If you pronounce th and put your finger on your voice box, you'd realize there's no vibration whatsoever. So it's th. So we call it voiceless or unvoiced, while the is voiced. Actually, you can feel the vibration without putting your finger on your voice box. Now, fortunately, Arabic has a separate letter for each sound. We use two symbols, or two completely differently, like entirely different symbols, to distinguish between the two sounds. The here is to present the voiced the, not the unvoiced, which is th. So also it shares the same feature of the letter dal, that it's a non-connector. So it means that it cannot connect to anything that's behind it or after it. But the only difference is there a dot over the letter. So if we look how it's written, we notice that there's a standalone form, which is like this. You begin with, and it doesn't connect to anything, and this would be pronounced the. How did I know? Because there's an alif, so there is a small fatha here that acts like a long vowel because of the alif. And the other shape, or the second shape of it, is that connects to only the previous letter. As if something comes before it, like this, it connects, but nothing after it. It does not connect here. And I would pronounce this as, well, we didn't take kasra, but kasra is bi. Bidan, bidan, bidan. These words do have meanings, but it's going to overwhelm you to just explain these meaning. But in short, this is basically a demonstrative. It could mean this, and it's also can be a relative noun, which is the boy that I saw. The relative that. Bidan is also the whatchamacallit is a dual form of it, but it's too advanced for now. We'll get to it, don't worry. So now we're going to practice reading this whole table of dal and dal. Of course, we are implementing as well the letters that we took before in lesson 1, the noon, dal, and waw, and ba. So I'm going to start from the right to left. And after I read them, if people want to raise their hand and come on stage and give it a shot and pronounce them, they're more than welcome to. So the first one here is than, than, than. Second one would be, there's a fatha on the dal, so I would say dawan, dawan, dawan. Here, there's a fatha on the dal, and there's a sukun on the noon, and there's no vowel on the ba, so I can choose whatever vowel I want. But for this case, we're going to stick with fatha because we're familiar with it. So how would I pronounce it? Dhamba, 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 dhamba. Notice the short vowel at the end. It's not long. It's dhamba. It's not dhanaba or dhamba. No, it's dhamba. Dhamba. Here, let's assume there is a sukun. So dabad, 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 dabad. Now it's the opposite mirror of the one we've learned here, but it's this time it's with the previous letter we've learned from lesson 1. I would pronounce it as dan, dan, dan. This one is dhab, dhab, dhab. If I change the voweling and say dhaba, it would mean to melt. Next one is there's a fatha on the dhal. There's a ba that has no fatha, but we know that it's a long ah sound because of the alif. And noon has sukun. So how do I pronounce it? I pronounce this dhaban, 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 dhaban. We're going to get exposed to dhamma today, but as we said, it's the oo sound, and we would know how it sounds and a few features of it. And it's the oo sound. So let's try to like pronounce this one. Nadu, nadu. But this dhamma is followed by a waw. The same case happens with the alif, but this time it's with waw. So if I have a dhamma over the waw, over the letter before the waw, I instantly know that it's a long vowel. So in later text, we might even omit or not be required to write this dhamma whatsoever, because I know that there's a waw here and there's no vowel. It's no vowel marked. That means it's a long vowel. But someone would say, like, okay, how would I be very sure if it's a vowel or a consonant? Because if the waw is a consonant, the same case applies for the ya, there will be a vowel or a marking or a haraka on top of it. So I would find a fatha or a kasra. So this is how I'd make sure it's a consonant, because consonants can take vowels, but vowels cannot take vowels. So is this clear, this part of long and short vowel? Okay, good. So let's look at this one. I found a fatha on dal, and the waw has no mark, nothing on top, but there's an alif. So I instantly know that there is a fatha here. It's a long ah sound. So it's dawab, 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 dawab. Dawab is from the verb dabba. Dabba is basically a verb that notes anything that crawls on 4 feet, basically animals. Anything that crawls on 4 or walks on 4 feet is, we call it dabba. And dawab basically is a collective noun, is a noun for everything that has 4 feet and it just walks around on 4. This one, oh, 3 fatha. So, okay, how would I pronounce it? Dhabana, dhabana, dhabana. Of course, it could have a meaning, but I'm not aware of, but it's just a combination of words that I thought of. Next one does have a meaning, and it's nabada, 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 nabada. Nabada is basically to let alone or leave or just discard or throw even. But any motion that basically you are getting rid of something. This one here is, I don't have a fatha, I don't have a kasra, I don't have a dhamma on the dal. But there's an alif. So this alif tells me that this vowel is a fatha. So I would pronounce it as dab, 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 dab. Okay, so now we'll stick around and basically I'm going to erase this so people do not get confused. And anyone would want to read the line A, and there's a line B, and there's a line C. So would anyone want to read A, and then someone else would volunteer to read B, and someone else would volunteer to read C? Of course, we're gonna start from whatever direction you want, but you can raise your hand if you wanna give it a try. Okay, Yahya, you're a native, so you might help us showing everyone how a native speaker would pronounce them. أهلا أهلا يحيى اتفضل. ممكن ناخد A مثلا. Okay. Than. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's a fatha. Okay. Well, if you want to pronounce it with no fatha, it's also okay. But can you say it again? Dhanb. Okay. Mm, دبد. دبد. بالضبط. There's fatha on the dal and there's fatha on the ba, but the dal is sukun or sakin, so it's دبد. 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 شكرا جزيلا. I will move you to audience. So, anyone else wants to give it a try? Hmm. Okay. So in this case, I'll just read it again. So the sound would just cement in your head. The sound of the letter dal and all the other all the other letters would start with dan, dhab, dhaban. Be careful that there's a long vowel alif here, and nazub, nazub, because the dhamma here, or the little tiny wow shape thing, like, is called dhamma, and it's u sound, so it's nadhubu, nadhubu, nadhubu. And I hope you have noticed something here, and we will discuss when we get to dhamma. But we will jump to letter or the row or C, and we would say it's dawab, dawab, dawab. There's also dhabana, dhabana, and nabada, nabada, nabada. And there is dab, dab, dab. Okay. I think the letter dal, because it exists in English and it's very common, it's a very common sound, is not that difficult to grasp. It's not that difficult to pronounce. But that does not mean you should not practice it. Ahmed, if you have a question, you can ask it in the why you can't hear anything. Okay, it's fixed. Do you have a question? Or okay, you can type it in the discussions. Great. So we can jump to two letters actually, or two consonants that also exist in English, and they're very easy to learn, very easy to pronounce, but you still have to try to pronounce them as much as possible. Of course, the this PDF or this presentation you're seeing on the screen on the stream is going to be in the lessons after the class. Um, oh, you want to try C? Okay, sure, 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 sure. I'll put you up to stage. Ahmed, where's Ahmed? Can you raise your hand? Yeah, okay. Hello, Ahmed. تفضل. Hello. You can start from wherever direction you want. Okay, let's start from the right. No, wait. Is that something I've written? Wait, let me just erase it. Yes. Okay. So there is fatha on the dal. So it's da. Dawab. Exactly. This one. Give it a shot. Slowly. Give every consonant a time to be pronounced. Dhabana. Dhabana. Mm-hmm. Dhabana. Ba. Mm-hmm. Now faster. Dabana. Exactly. And this one is the same letters but kind of like jumbled. Mm. Nabada. Nab. Nabada. Mm-hmm. This one is a lot. This one is a lot easier. Dab. Exactly. Exactly. Well, that was that. You're welcome. Okay. So two consonants at once. The letter ta and the letter fa. They're very easy and they share almost the same shape, the same like feature of being connected or connectors. So let's discuss letter ta. The Arabic ta, or the smiley face in Arabic, it's basically a smiley face, is basically the ta intake. In writing, it's exactly in writing, of course, not in pronunciation. The letter ta is exactly like the letter ba in all its shapes, except there has two dots above instead of one below. And if we look at the shapes, we see again there's an independent or an isolated form. There's a form that is joined to previous letter, and there is a form that is joined to the following letter, and there is a form that is joined on both sides. So let's look at the isolated or the independent or isolated form, and we'd see that it's basically, the smiley face that we know. And if we are going to pronounce this word, uh, there's a fatha on the b, so it's ba, and there is a noon that has no vowel, but there is an alif after it. So I instantly know that this noon is a long vowel, a long fatha. So how would I pronounce it? Banat, 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 banat. And this is for future reference, but the letter ta in like or the sound t in phonology is basically called a consonantal stop. Excuse my handwriting. Why is it a stop? Because basically what happens if you put your hand in front of your mouth and say t, 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 you notice there's this like little burst of air that you've blocked air and then let it go and released it. So it's basically a stop. Why I'm telling you this? Because later on in the classes, we would learn something that is also a stop, but we call it a glottal stop. A glottal stop is basically hamza, sound. So it shares that feature of catching air and releasing it, of blocking air and then releasing it. Now, keep that in mind. This is not something you have to know, understand, but if you're interested, you can research what like a consonantal stop is. And also, I encourage you to always do the voiced unvoiced experiment, like as in put your hand on your voice box and pronounce the sound t, 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 and see if your vocal cords vibrate or not. And you can say like, oh, this is voiced, unvoiced, or voiceless. So the letter fa. Sorry, we didn't finish the letter ta here. So the previous letter, letter ta, we knew that this one is banat, banat, which actually means girls. And this form where it attaches to something before it, and we can read it as Bennett, 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 Bennett. Now, if we jumble the vowels, remember that vowels are important in Arabic and it can change the meaning of a word. Now, this word, if I'm going to say it to a native speaker, they would understand that she built. She built something. Bennett. But if I change the vowels in a way that sounds like, sorry, wait. Well, the sukun here is basically because it's a posal form, but let's put it a fatha. How would I pronounce this? Binta, binta, binta. It would mean that you have appeared. Anyways, But this is just to clarify how important vowels are in Arabic, that you have to imitate careful speech. Joined to the following letter is the letter ta here, and we would say tab, tab. Why the long vowel? Because the alif. Taba, taba, taba. Taba is he repent in the past tense, or he atoned. Joined on the both in both sides, we would basically the ta. Remember when we said about the ba that the boat gets chopped in half? Well, same thing happens in the letter ta. The boat gets chopped in half, and only the head of it remains. And when it's connected, just the head remains. Even both sides are chopped, or both halves. Sorry. So this is ta. We jump at the letter fa or jump to the letter ta, and we actually say that it's exactly like the letter fa or the sound fa in English, as in face, familiar, uh, etc. In writing, it's exactly like ba and ta, albeit with a small difference that it has a head instead of a seat. See, there's a seat. The boat has a seat, but this one has a head. And basically, I would see it. The independent form is fa, and we would read this as nadafa, 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 nadafa. Sometimes, like the vowels I'm pronouncing, sometimes I'm making it longer or shorter, but it's for the sake of being clear. Like my pronunciation, to be clear, I kind of stress some vowels more than others. But for the sake of just making you realize or see how the letter is pronounced. So nadafa, 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 nadafa. And we can see it as joined to a previous letter. It would same thing with the ba, like the whole thing. I would write it like this. And this one is na ta fa. Natafa. Natafa means to pluck. Like you pluck the feathers of a bird or something, or pluck your hair or something. It's natafa. Um, Joined to following letter. Of course, instead we said that instead of a seat, it has a head. So and the boat would still get cut in half. So it's fa. How would I pronounce this? There's a da with a fatha, so it's da da. There's a fa on a fatha, so it's da fa, da fa. And there's a noon with a fatha, so it's dafana, dafana, to bury. Joined on both sides. Same thing. The boat gets completely cut. It's chopped, but the head remains. So I would write it like. And how would I see it? How would I would say it? It would be tafat, tafat, ta. And why I'm saying fa here? Because it's an alif, so it's a long vowel so it's tafat, tafat. So far, I don't think the ta and fa could prove problems to anyone. If anyone wants to read these little examples, of course, there's a reading practice here, and we were going to do the same thing with the A and B and C. People can jump on stage and try reading. Okay, Yahya, you're more than welcome to join us. وعليكم السلام. نبدأ بألف، نبدأ بالA. تفضل. اها. ثاني. اها. ثاني. اها. Number 3. لا. اها. ودفع. But number 3, if I want to be very careful in pronouncing it, it would be بفتة. 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 Because if I, yes, exactly. If the let's assume that the fa had fatha, like I would pronounce it bafata. Bafata. Okay. شكرا جزيلا يحيى. ميم, jump up. Okay. وعليكم السلام. ميم من بعدك من فضلك بس the row B. Mm-hmm. F now, exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Try it again. Slowly. Slowly. No, no, try to spell it letter by letter, yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And last one? No. Exactly. Perfect. 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 Okay. Anyone feels daring and attempts row C? Go Kana. Let's go. Yeah. You can start with number one. Like it's here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Last one. This one this one is easy. You just said it before, so perfect. 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 Very good. You're welcome. Okay. So I think the whatchamacallit, I think the letter fa and ta are good. Anyone has questions before we jump on the letter ya? Well, no questions, I assume. Okay. Well, I mean, no questions. That's either a good thing or a really, really bad thing. Okay. So the letter ya. The letter ya, as we have said before, is one of the three letters that can represent a long vowel, and is one of the two letters that can be a consonant and an indicator of a long vowel. Its brother is the letter waw. Waw can be a consonant and can be like a letter that notes a long vowel. Biggest example is the word we read here is wanafa. If you see wanafa, wanafa, the waw had a fatha, so it was treated as a consonant, as wa. It was not treated as oo, so it's wanafa. And the same applies for the ya. But here we're going to discuss the consonantal quality of ya as a consonant, not as a vowel, or not as an indicator of a vowel. So the ya is one of the new shapes that we've learned that like we just about to learn, and it's basically it's like a duck that actually in some like writing conventions of have you opened like an old Arabic writing book, they would actually call it ya batta, or ya duck basically. Um, so in writing, oh, sorry, we have to discuss how it sounds. Sorry. So we pronounce it as like the y in yell. Yeah, 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 yeah. And in writing, it's very simple, and we would just see how it's pronounced here in detail. So, of course, as we've learned, the paradigm that every letter can be a connector or a non-connector. Non-connectors have two positions, while connectors have four. The four positions of connector letters are here, basically independent and joined to previous letters, joined to following letters, letters that come after it, and joined on both sides. Now, yeah, kind of proves to be kind of peculiar because the independent and the previous letter, or like this is the final form in the word, these two shapes are very unique. But when it comes to starting a word with, or initial position, or in the middle position, they very much resemble fa, ta, and ba, as they have a head, and the boat is chopped in half. And the striking similarity is that also there are two dots instead of one, because if there was a one, this would be a ba, not a ya. So let's read the examples and see how it's pronounced. Now, uh, let's agree that if you find no vowel on top of a letter that it has no alif or waw or ya before it, it's sukun. So I would follow the convention of Arabic utterance because this is also a bit advanced, but I want you to kind of keep it in mind that in Arabic utterance, or what you call it, الكلام في العربية, or to speak, there's a golden rule that everyone would tell you that in Arabic, you don't, you do not, you don't, one, you cannot start speech, no, with a sukun, as in you cannot start speaking in a letter that has sukun on top, and you don't end with a vowel. So what it means that when I stop talking and the word I'm saying is final, I'm not saying anything after it, even if it has even if there's a haraka written on it, I don't pronounce it. It's pausal. I stop. I pronounce it as sukun. Except in poetry, but this is way out of our scope. And basically, this takes like years of learning to realize why and how and when. And this is definitely not our scope. So if I want to read this one or this word here, how would I pronounce it? I pronounce it nai, nai, nai. Yeah, without any haraka, without any sort of vowel. Nai, nai. Now, okay. Remember when I told you that the ya can also indicate a long vowel? So yeah, the ya here is not preceded by a kasra. It's not preceded by the appropriate vowel or its pair of vowels. It has a fatha. So this is a consonant. Yeah, it's a letter. It's not a long. It's not an indicator of a long vowel. So how would I pronounce it? It's anyone wants to try it? Okay, Yahya. Alaikum salam. The one I'm highlighting. Mm-hmm. Banai. Exactly. Banai. Mm-hmm. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Yahya is saying that if the ya had a fatha, it would sound like banaya. Banaya. But in our example, there is no fatha, so it's banai. 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 شكرا جزيلا يحيى. Uh, we jump to the next one where the ya is joined to the letter that follows it. We see that it's pronounced as yad. Yad. Yeah, yad. Yad is basically hand. And the word also exists in other Semitic languages. Like if you look at Hebrew, if you look at Aramaic, you'd find it pronounced as yod, as yad, hand. Uh, the ya, when it joined on both letters, resembles the boat with both ends chopped. Only the head remains, or only the seat, sorry. And I would pronounce this as, oh, and this one is actually a good example because the ya here has an alif after it. So I know this alif, this ya has a long fatha. I'm gonna remove this because it would confuse. Might look like another letter. Uh, and how would I pronounce it? As bayan, 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 bayan. Bayan here means a statement. Okay. Of course, the meanings are not important. I'm not trying to, I'm not asking you to memorize the meanings because, but I'm trying to expose you to vocab from a young age. Uh, this is a reading practice, but before we discuss it, sometimes when you open or even on the internet, even people like when they discuss things online, people yes, Kana, this PDF I'll post it after the class with all my scribbles, with all my notes, don't worry. But I was saying that in some Arabic publications or even like internet typing, people in Egypt particularly, they use a different shape, or not a different shape, the same shape, but they don't write the dots underneath the ya. Now, this is not wrong. This is out of convention because Egypt had its own Arabic convention. The Syria had its own Arabic convention, and basically they were considered to be the two authorities of Arabic grammar at the time. If you go back in history until now, there were two cities in Iraq who kind of were that kind of authority. They were Basra and Kufa, and with modern time, it is Damascus and Cairo. So the people in Egypt decided that the ya can also be written without dots if it's final or it's connected to something something before it. So the final ya and the isolated ya can be written in Egypt without dots. And it would be very funny actually because a lot of people would just tell the Egyptians that they're wrong, where technically they're not. It's just convention. But I have to be fair and just. They are the closest people to how originally Arabic was written because Arabic was written without dots. So they are the ones that took the more traditional, more historical, accurate path, while we just added it for more clarity. There are people who added the dots. So how would I write these? How would I read these? Let's start from 1 to 4. So I know that the dal has a fatha because there's an alif. So I would pronounce this as dai, 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 dai. We jump into number 2. There's a fatha on the ba, and there is nothing on the noon, but there's an alif, so it's a long ah sound. So banai, banai, banai. There's a on number 3. There is a fatha on the ya, so it's ya, ya. There is nothing on the dal, but there's an alif, so it's yadan, ya, yadan, yadan, and this means two hands. Um, one the number 4 is there's a fatha on the dal, there's nothing on the ya. So it's let's assume there's a fatha, or yeah, let's assume there's a fatha. So I would pronounce this dhayan, 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 dhayan. So the letter meme. Does anyone want to read the words in yeah? There would be more words to come, but if anyone wants to read them now, they're more than welcome to join. Sure, come on board. Yeah, let's go. Walaikum salam. So 1 to 4, please. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Mm-hmm. 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 Let's fatha. Yeah, fatha wanda yeah. Okay, let's all fatha. Mm-hmm. ذينا. Mm-hmm. شكرا جزيلا يحيى. Okay, the letter meme. The letter meme. Now, the letter meme is also a letter found in English. It's the m sound in make. Again, do the experiment with every new letter is try to check if it's voiceless or voiced. So put your finger on your voice box and say hmm. Is there anything vibrating? If not, it's voiceless. If it vibrates, then it's voiced. And this is not like not like something that you have to get right. You can get wrong, you can Google it and see if, oh wow, my experiment, I came up with the right like result. The letter meme, basically the sound m in make, and it's one of the like different features or different appearances of different shapes of letters, but it also is a connector letter in essence. So it connects in four positions, or it doesn't, or connects in three and independent in one. The independent position is basically kind of different in handwriting and in writing and typing. In typing, you might see it looking like this, but in handwriting, I might write it like meme, like with a head. But in some fonts, it's like it has like some sort of a notch. Also valid, all valid. You can go like circle meme. That also is valid. No one is gonna punish you. Uh, because the circle appears here. So you can use the circle in the other forms. So how would I pronounce this? The isolated form is dal has no fatha but has an alif, so it's long vowel. So it's dam, dam, dam. We jump to the previous letter, um, to the one who's like the form that is joined by the previous letter. We would see that it's actually basically a line and then meme and like circle. Of course, I can simplify it and go like, oh, also perfect, but I'm just kind of, I write it quickly as basically a small stroke. But hey, it works. Again, I repeat that even if you try to copycat the same writing or the same style of the typed Arabic or the printed Arabic, you will be considered having, or you'll be considered having a very good handwriting. It's not a bad thing, you'd be considered. People are judged by their handwriting in Arabic, by the way. So if you have a bad one, people are just like, oh, bad handwriting. Uh, how would I pronounce this? Is ya on a fatha, and there is ta has a fatha, and the meme has a fatha. Is yatama, 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 yatama. Yatama is basically a root, like a three-letter root in Arabic means to be orphaned, or it relates to the idea of being an orphan, technically, or alone, lonely. Uh, we jump to the third position, which is joined by the following letter. And basically, this is what it means, that it's word initial. It becomes at the beginning of a part of a word. So it's basically a circle, and you continue, like here. How would I pronounce this? There's a dal, there's a fatha, but I know it by the alif. It's a long ah sound, so it's da, damat, damat, damat. Damat is basically it lasted, but it's referring to something feminine. The final position is joined on both sides. Basically, it's a line, a circle, and continue. You can just go like this, and it's completely fine. And this one is namat, 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 nama, namat. Namat is basically it grew, but it's referring to something that is feminine. Oh, this one is big. So we can have 5 people participating if anyone wants. Anyone taking A? Maya, let's invite you to speak. Hello, alaikum salam. Okay, Maya, you will take the row A. And just to not confuse you, if there are no vowels on the end of a word, it's sukun. Okay? Tamam, yes. Mm-hmm. Can you say it again? Tam, tam, yes. Dam, perfect, perfect. Very good, very good. Thank you, Maya. Anyone else want to leave a shot? Kinder or Kinda. Hello. We're gonna take letter. Yes. We're gonna take the row B. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Well, you cheated, but hey, it's in here. Okay. Uh, Madad. Perfect. The second time you said it was correct. So can you say it again? Perfect. Number 4. Denim. Yes. Denim. And Tam. Perfect. 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 Thank you very much. شيخنا يحيى تفضل. وعليكم السلام شيخنا يحيى من فضلك روسي. دوام. Perfect. Mhm. 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 تنم. Mhm. Perfect. Day. Yes. 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 Thank you, Yahya. Okay. Anyone wants to attempt D? Mm, I'll give them an imaginary cookie. Okay, I'll take it then. I'll take D and E then. So D, number 1 is mamat. Mamat. Why? Because there is an alif and it's a long vowel. By now, I think the idea is cemented. Mamat. Mamat. This one is taman. 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 This one is madfan. Madfan. Madfan means basically a burial like place or a tomb or a mausoleum. Uh, madfan. 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 This one is wayam. Waya. Wayam. Wayam. And this is one of the words that basically these two letters that can be considered an indicator of vowels are both consonantals, as they have a fatha on top each. So it's wayam. Wayam. If in phonology, these are called diphthongs when two vowels are joined together. Wayam, waya. So this last one is nadama. Nadama. Nadam or nadam. Nadam is regret, by the way. The row E is Namat. We've seen that before. And number 2 is Yemen. Yemen, which is a country, Yemen. Uh, this one is one of the most functional words that you're going to learn in your early beginnings in Arabic, which is ماذا. ماذا is what is that? It's a question. It's an interrogative. We call it interrogative. So it's what is it? What is that? ماذا. This one is kind of tricky because there are two yas. One has a vowel, has a fatha, and one has a sukoon. It's yaytam. Notice yay, yay, yaytam, yaytam, yaytam. And the last one is yanam, yanam. Yanam is he sleeps or he is sleeping. Okay. Letter meme I think has no issues. We jump to the yeah. So we jump to the second pair of vowels of that we've learned. You already may have a good idea on it or about it. It's the short vowel dhamma, u, and the long vowel oo, or denoted by noted by the wow. Uh, Basically, we've said before that the short vowel oo is pronounced roughly like the oo, in like the u sound or the oo sound of put, and the long vowel like oo, like the vowel of moon or boon. We repeat the same thing with, we learn the same thing again with the one we've learned with fatha and long vowel alif, is that the long vowel is about twice as long in duration. And we remind ourselves again that the stress falls on the syllable containing the long vowel. And if there is no long vowel, the first short vowel in the syllable or in the word takes the stress. So let's start. I'll start reading them one by one, like the table here, and we would see how the dhamma sounds. Let's start with 1. So again, with the same convention, we know if there is a waw and the letter before it has no vowel, we can safely assume that this waw is indicating a long oo sound. The same thing with alif. So, but in some arbitrary case, I went and I put fatha and another fatha on the waw. Then this waw here does not indicate a long vowel because now it has a vowel on its own, so it's a consonant. So I would pronounce this with the fatha as mawan, mawa, mawan, mawan, mawan. But if I suddenly remove the fatha, it would sound like moon, 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 moon. There's a fatha here, so it's moon, moon. Contrasted to number 2, mun, mun. Again, I'm gonna read 1 and 2 next to each other so you can realize how or see how long the vowel is or how short the other vowel is. Number 1 is moon, moon. But number 2 is mun, mun, mun. Ironically, this is actually a verb, but we'll get to it. So number 4 and 3, 3 and 4, the same deal, but this is the letter ba on its own that has a dhamma, and this one is a long vowel oo. How would it sound? Let's start with number 4 first because it's the shortest form. It's bu, bu, bu. Number 3 is boo, 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 boo. Another word like if we're going to use this in a real life example, there's the word mahbub. Mahbub means he who is loved or something that is loved. If I want to put the vowels, it's ma, mah, boob. So there's a dhamma here, and this waw is a long vowel. So mahbub, mahbub. Of course, the ha letter is bit will come later. Um, let's jump to the row B, and number 1 and 2 the same way. There's contrasting and mirroring. So there is moot, 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 and mut, 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 mut. Here would sound like tun, tun. When the long vowel comes in, it's tun, tun, tun. Row C. Let's start with the short ones. How would I pronounce it? There's a dhamma on the dal, so it's du. There's a dhamma on the fa, it's fu. And noon is sukun, so it's dufun. Oops, sorry. So it's dufun, dufun, dufun. But let's check this out. So there's a dhamma on the dal. The fa has no vowel, but there's a waw, and it's a long vowel, long oo sound or a long oo vowel. So how would I read this? Remember, we read this as dufun, dufun. This one would be dufun, Dufun. Almost double the sound of dufun. Let's see this pair here. So this one is dub, 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 which means bear, by the way. Uh, this one is doob, 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 doob. So Rodi, how would I pronounce this one? It's there's a dhamma on the meme, so it's mu. There's a sukun on the n, so it's a n sound. It has no vowel. And there is a dhamma on the dhal, so it'd be munzu, 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 munzu. Mundu means since in Arabic. Let's check this one. There's a fatha on the ya, so we know it's it's not a vowel because I can't start with a vowel. Basically, it has to be a consonant. Uh, so it's ya, 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 yam, yam, dud, yam, du, yam, dud. Yamdud is to stretch something or to elongate something. And oh, if we could remind ourselves later when we talk about something called madda. Um, these two words now we'll talk about. So this one is there's a dal with a dhamma, so it's du, du. There's a noon that has sukun on it, so it's dun, dun. There's a ya that has alif, so I know it is a long vowel ah sound. So it's dunya, dunya, dunya. This one is the dhal has a dhamma, so it's dhu. The ba has an alif after it with no vowel, so oh, it's a long vowel ah. Zubab, zubab, basically flies, house flies, the insect. The row E, this is the ba has a dhamma, so it's bu. The dal is sukun, so it's bud, bud, bud. Now this could be used in it's still used in Old Arabic, and it has a meaning which is escape. As la Buddha, there's no escape in doing something. Anyways, this is a bit advanced. This one here is there's a noon on the fatha. There is alif after the ba, so I know it's a long vowel ah sound. So it's nabat, nabat, nabat. Here is a ya with a dhamma, so I know it's a consonant. It's you, you, you. But the dhal here has an alif, so I know it's a long vowel alif. And ba has sukun, so it's yudhab, 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 yudhab. That's one is the meme has a dhamma, the dal has an alif after it, so it's long vowel ah sound, and the meme here has sukun, so I know it's mudam, mudam, mudam. Mudam in Arabic means something that is drunk along with a conversation. If you're talking to someone and you drink, it's called mudam. But in most cases, it would refer to something alcoholic. Now we get to this point in reading or pronunciation that when the dhamma is word final, it's the end of a word. The short vowel u and the long vowel u at some point of normal speech, they're not distinguishable from each other. And the only way you would actually kind of hear the difference is how I'm pronouncing things right now. Like very careful speech. Like I'm trying to give every letter its rightful place in pronunciation. Every vowel, every letter. But usually if you hear two Arabs speaking, you might not tell the difference between, of course, no one in modern day would speak in classical Arabic or in modern standard Arabic with voweling and all that, or like cases. But if you, for say that you were listening to a news bulletin, like in on a TV or something, and the anchor is speaking in standard Arabic, you might not be able to discern if that word ends with a like long vowel u or with a dhamma or like u. This would actually show you the difference. Table 210 here, we it would start from right to left because Arabic. Uh, if I were to pronounce this, I want you to really focus or try to pay close attention to the final dhamma. How would I pronounce this? Dal has a dhamma. Dal has a dhamma, so it's zudu, zudu, zudu. But here, how would I pronounce it? Zudu, 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 zudu. Again, let's contrast. Zudu, zudu, zudu. So I'm trying to be careful in my speech here. I'm trying to mentally give the long vowel double the length of the short, but don't be alarmed if you cannot tell the difference. Some people just do not give the long vowel, the final long vowel, the right amount of length. And it's almost arbitrary. Like no one is going to tell them you're pronouncing it wrong unless if they just really, really mispronounce it. Let's look again at the this verb here is there's a fatha on the ya, so it's ya. There's mim, wow, so I know it's a long vowel u, and the ta has dhamma, so it's yamutu, yamutu, yamutu. But here, if I want to say it, same case, there's a fatha on the ya, so it's ya, yamu, yamutu, yamutu, قل موتوا بغيظكم, yamutu, no? موتوا, ذادوا, 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 ذادوا. Now, if I put an alif here, this is not a long vowel alif, we will get to very late in the game, but this would mean they defended. But just, I don't want to confuse you, just extra information for those curious amongst you. This one is naru. This one is naru, naru, nadu, nadu. But okay, now I want you to see the difference. Now, like all the previous examples, I was trying to be as careful as possible, but now I will just say or speak it or say it, pronounce it the way I would just usually do. Babu, babu, exactly, almost identical. Dabu, dabu, nubu, nubu. And I think Yahya agrees with me because Yahya, I think, is a native. Uh, like we in modern standard Arabic spoken these days, the final dhamma can almost be the same. That does not mean it's orthodox, but it's acceptable. It is not like if you want to kind of punish people for proper pronunciation, yes, we have to give the long oo sound its rightful place. But you know, just it's just colloquial MSA basically at this point. Is there any questions with dhamma before I jump to our last stop of the class? I would guess there are none. Okay. So now we are visiting something called doubling of the consonants, or what's in English known as gemination. In Arabic, we call it shadda, and the word shadda comes from the verb yashuddu. Yashuddu is to kind of pull or stress something, or to be rough on something, to be stern on something. So consonants in Arabic can be doubled. That is prolonged in its pronunciation. Remember when we said that the long vowel is basically prolonged or sustained in pronunciation? Well, the shadda is the same thing, but when it comes to consonants and strictly consonants. So, how does it sound when I double a consonant? Let's take this example here. This example, I'm going to zoom in so you can see the different markings. There's a fatha on the dal, so it's da. There's a fatha on the noon, so I know it's da na. There's a sukun on the ta, so it's danat, danat. Now I want you to pay close attention to how the noon sounds because there's this little, you know, shape on top of it. we said that this one is danat, danat, danat. This one sounds like dannat, dannat, dannat. Notice how the noon is longer. Dannat, dannat. And it also can take vowels. So the shadda has a fatha. So I don't say, I don't say. Okay, let me think like of on its own. So this is the noon. Sorry, with shadda. So this is with fatha. It's danna. With kasra, how would I pronounce it? Ni, دني دني. والضمة إدنو نو نو نو. Of course. Now, why I am having such problems with it? I mean, I am having such issue with it. That's why I paused and I thought of examples, and that has a reason, and that is for a good reason actually. And the reason is the following: it is formed when two of the same consonants occur in succession, right after each other, where the first consonant has a sukoon, while the second consonant is voweled. Now you know why I have had so much trouble trying to come up with pronunciations, because I am trying to start my speech with a letter that is technically has sukoon. Basically has no vowel quality. I cannot pronounce it. There's not enough air in my throat to pronounce the sound, as we said in the previous class. So what happens in shadda? In shadda, sometimes letters can happen like this. Say it's dal and dal fatha. So the Arabic speakers or Arabs were like, okay, how am I going to pronounce this? How about I merge these two letters and just call it shadda? And why I'm telling you this is a bit like advanced, but later on when you start learning Arabic, actual Arabic, you would realize there are a lot of weird things that happen to words. Some letters get like deleted, some letters you don't pronounce, some things just happen because of you've learned that this particle or this word ends with something, but in a sentence you see it with something else, and you would have all these weird questions in your head. It's like, okay, sorry, what is going on here? And unfortunately, these questions are a bit tough to explain, especially for a beginner. And it's even more tough to Google or to research because you don't know what's going on, so you can ask about it. So you'd have to refer to someone who speaks Arabic and ask. And even natives, most of the natives are like, maybe they have learned it in school, but they kind of almost forgot. They don't know what's going on. They just know it by intuition that this word should sound this way. So why I'm telling you this is because this is good foundation, and this is questions I would ask myself if I was learning Arabic. What is shadda and what's the point of it? Why it happened? Now, is this part clear? How shadda is formed? That it's basically two consonants of the same, of course, the same consonant. You cannot have two different consonants. The same consonant, but one of them has a sukoon and the other has a vowel, whatever vowel it is, and they are both merged. And of course, the shadda takes the vowel of the vowel letter, so it's dhamma, it's fatha. Okay. Uh, Now we'll jump into English because I want you to kind of relate things to things. English has double consonants, but the problem is that we are not aware of it. And they only exist phonetically, not like in writing or not in script. And usually they occur in when two words come in succession. So look at the word bookcase. Bookcase. If I separate them, I say book and case. But if I join them together and say them in one line, it's bookcase. The k sound is stressed, is prolonged. Same thing with unnatural. Unnatural. Because un and natural are not stressed. The n sound is not stressed, but it's unnatural. Of course, I'm emphasizing the stress here just to show you how stressed it is or how doubled it is. Now, to contrast it, you can just say bookish. The K is very undoubled, single K, bookish, or natural, or a natural. Now, shadda is important, as Yahya mentioned, because it also, if you do not, or if you fail to recognize shadda in words, you might have a lot of problems because some words also have different meanings. They are written the same, but the shadda on some letters can change the meaning. For example, this word, if I write it, I know that we did not take this letter, but this letter represents the sound s. And also we did not take this one, but forget about it. Okay, let's just remove it so everyone does not get confused. Uh, if I put the vowels mu, da, and let's put kasra, it's ri, the e sound. Uh, mm, mud. Okay, 1 second. So it's dhamma, sukun, and fatha. I would pronounce this as mudras. Mudras. It's not technically correct. It's like correct, but no one is using this word because it's just very old and very rare to use. But it means something that is taught or something that is learned or someone who is knowledgeable, as far as I know. But I'm here to show you how ashadda can actually change the whole meaning. If I put mu, da, if I say mudarris, it means teacher, like strictly teacher, or someone who puts dars in you, someone who teaches you. So, yes, shadda is very important and we have to realize it. Now, how do I know it? The geminated or the doubled consonant is indicated by the sign, like basically it's the sheen, the beginning of the sound of the letter sheen, but without das. So they just took the teeth and they made it into a sign. So it's shadda. And of course, it's above the consonant letter. The vowels fatha and dhamma are written over the shadda sign. And like shadda, dham, or shadda, fatha. Kasra we'll get to when we learn kasra. Now, let's contrast the geminated consonants versus non-geminated consonants. I will take row A and then I will open the stage for people who want to pronounce the following letters. Okay. So A, I would start with the non-geminated, non-shadda and shadda. So here, I'm going to switch to laser. So here, the meme has a fatha, the noon has a, oh my God. The meme has a fatha, the noon has a fatha, and ta has sukun. So is mant. Sorry, manat, 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 manat. But here the noon has a shadda on fatha, so it's mannat, 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 mannat. Okay, let's contrast 4 and 3. Fa has a fatha, noon is what the, okay, okay. Where were we? Okay. Fa has a fatha, noon is long vowel, and so it's fanan, 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 and fannan, fannan, fannan. Anyone wants to try B? Roby? Mhm. Okay, I'll continue then. So I'll contrast 2 and 1. This is we're about to finish, by the way. So yeah, lesson 3 is, this is the last bit. So it's number 2 here would be midad, midad, midad. But here it's maddad, maddad, maddad. We'll start with this one. نمت 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 نمت. See? We'll start with here and then we're going to jump to the geminated one. So it's فتن, فاء فتحة, تاء فتحة, نون فتحة. So it's فتن and فتن, فتن, فتن. Let's end with this. نتف, نون فتحة, تاء فتحة, فاء فتحة. So it's نتف, 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 نتف. So it's, you can actually feel that it's two letters. نت, نتف, نتف. If I separate them, you can actually feel that it's made of two consonants. And last one is here we're going to بدد, بدد, and بدد, 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 بدد. These, let's start with this. نون فتحة, ياء فتحة, ميم, نيم, نيم, and نيم, نيم, نيم. And this one here. So it's mim fatha, waw fatha, nun fatha. So it's mawana, mawana. And there is mawana, mawana, mawana. This one here has shadda dhamma. So this is interesting. Madda, madda, yamuddu, 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 yamuddu. Okay. So, anyone wants to attempt reading those? Yes, Maya. Let's start. So you welcome Maya to stage. So you can pick whatever row you want, and we can read. Manna. Okay, so here. Which one? Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Manat, if exactly. So 3 is number 3. Try it again. Fannan, yes, exactly. And 4, Fanan. Do you want to give row B a chance? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Midad. Or, okay, this one. Nammat. Nammat, yes. And namat. Namat. Okay. Thank you very much, Maya. So, uh, I think we have almost been doing this for the past hour and a half. So I would conclude today's class, and I hoped today